We're still in discussion with the city because we're still in discussion with the community about, what our plans are going to look like. So a lot of the things that you see on the wall are just ideas based on comments that we got from people in the neighborhood. And as far as land acquisition, we have identified some pieces of land that we would like to see as part of the project. Most of them are owned by the Detroit Public Schools. And we want to stabilize the buildings, so Douglas Academy is one of them, Campbell Elementary is one of them, the northeastern site is one of them. So, what can we do to secure those properties, not in terms of ownership, but in terms of being able to legally go on them and make sure that no more vandalism happens with the buildings.
Gary, can you say more about this question and stuff I just did?
So what we see happening is we see the project starting fairly small at first. We're basically looking at land between the northeastern site and Douglas Academy. And what can we do to have a maximum impact on starting to clean up the neighborhood in this area and stabilize the neighborhood? And then we would try and radiate out from that as the community, brought projects to us and as businesses approached us for business development. That's not saying that that's the way that it's going to happen, because we don't know yet. We're not that far along.
When you say stabilize, and what exactly do you mean, like the northeastern lot?
Okay, well, in all of our community meetings, we've asked some very basic questions. What are the major concerns of the neighborhood? And the number one question that we got answered, not only in our community meetings, but in our door-to-door surveys, were security in the neighborhood. Whether that's a police presence or whether that's the ability to walk down the street and not have the grass this high so people can jump out. So what can we do to bring a bigger police presence into the neighborhood? And what can we do to make sure that the grass and the weeds are mowed to an acceptable level so that people can walk or drive through the neighborhood or ride their bikes through the neighborhood so that they feel a little more safe? We feel that the combination of doing both of those things, plus demolishing the buildings that are not salvageable or deconstructing the vacant buildings that do have salvageable materials that can't be reused, will also lend to security in the neighborhood because people can't hide in them, they can't set them on fire, you can't have drug dealings going on. So that's what we mean by security.
Back to the lots. The lot on the right side of my house, if it wasn't for Sacred Heart and St. Elizabeth, I was on the neighborhood committee meeting with them, and they had a list of lots. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't got the lot. Because that's the only lot they had right there, and they sold it to me, sold it to me. But when I went downtown, the other two lots on the other side of my lot, they kept saying it's by a private owner, and I kept telling the lady, I've been calling and calling and calling, they said it's not for sale, not for sale, not for sale. I think it's all about money. I really do, because I'm a neighbor, and there's only 2 houses on my block. Why couldn't we get the lot?
Again, I'm not the city, so I can't comment on that. What I can say is that it's our hope long-term, once we're in the community, hopefully at Campbell Elementary. So we have a resource center in the community that will start working more closely with the city so that as people approach us like yourself that want to buy other lots in the neighborhood, that we can make that happen and maybe even have resources available, in terms of financial resources to make that possible.
How do Recovery Park, 2 questions. How do Recovery Park get to be in a position where to make those decisions for our community, 1? And 2, when you talk about revitalize the community, what is the share of ownership from the community, from Recovery Park to the business owners, and what would the community share would be on?
Well, Recovery Park hasn't made any final decisions for the community, and we continue to invite people to the community. All we ask is that you give us your name, your address, and your phone number so we can invite you to our meetings where decisions may be made. Okay? People that have wanted to participate in that process, they do attend our meetings. And I know how to get a hold of them on a regular basis. So, if you haven't given me contact information, if you haven't given me a name and address, phone number, email address, and you want to be part of that decision-making process, let me know. Because I've tried to reach out to the community as much as possible. The other part of that question is that, each of the business entities that come into the community, if they're a private business, as we put together a package for them to to do whatever they want in conjunction with the community. We'll have benefit agreements with the surrounding community around those businesses and the business to guarantee jobs, to guarantee, environmental justice issues, to guarantee a whole bunch of things that normal development doesn't happen.
So, Gary, the way I hear that is you're saying, not only is it, I want to try to continue to answer your question, if I can, about the ownership, right? It sounds like you're saying, not only is there a bigger, broad vision, but within that bigger vision, there's going to be subsets or smaller projects that each would have a business model. And that your decision-making would be place by place within the footprint with ongoing conversations with the people directly affected. Is that part of what you're asking? How's that going to work?
So I figured that it'd be a pretty cut dry answer when it comes to percentages on how you're going to secure the community to know that we're secure. I mean, that should be like a cut dry percentage over, so we can feel that we are securing this. That was one. My first question, you didn't answer quite, Gary. My first question was actually, how did RecoveryPark get the right or the authority or whatever to speak on behalf of our community?
Again, I'm not speaking on behalf of the community, I'm speaking on behalf of the Recovery Park project. And what we did was, we had an idea that we brought up amongst Share, and Share is an integral part of this community. We've been here for 24 years, we employ people from the community, we bring resources to the community. And we felt that if things were going to change in this community, we needed to be a part of that change. So we started talking to people in the community, people that identified themselves to us as leaders, business leaders, church leaders, etc. And we started doing that in 3 other areas of the city where we have our facilities, okay? And through the course of those conversations, we decided with the core group of people that we needed to be actively involved in the community, and the community has really been driving this process. So everything that you see on this wall, these aren't our comments, these are the community's comments. And it's been growing as the community meetings have happened. So anybody that was here at the first meeting, and you were here at the first meeting, you knew that all we had on the table were blank maps.
I was also here a lot of meetings that the community wasn't here, and a lot of people was here putting stuff on those things too here.
And because the community are not just the people that live here, they're the people that own businesses here, they're the people that come and worship here, they're the people that want to participate in bringing resources to help this community. So the community is not defined by geographic boundaries.
But when you say this is what our community asks for, and our community ain't there, it's not there, but it's suggestions put on there. So you said, what you're saying is all of that is what we gave you. And then I would come to you and say, no, it's not. Because our community didn't give you all that. The other people that you was telling you, like the business folks, the same folks that we're worried and concerned about coming to take our land. The business folks, the people that want to invest into the community.
Excuse me, I want to say the same thing I said before. If you tell me your name and your address and your phone number, I will invite you to be part of those meetings. I've asked you that for every meeting. Hang on, I've asked you that for every meeting that we've had, and you refuse to do that.
You got my name. When I come to the meetings, Jerry, there's no need for you to invite me to those meetings when I'm already coming. I'm the only one that you can say that I've been to 98% of your meetings.
Okay, I'm going to keep talking. We want to hear from other people too.
I'd like to address part of, I'm a vice president of People's Restaurant Equipment on Gratiot. I'm also was born and raised in the city on 8 Mile Gratiot, over 18 years in the city. I think they don't have a definite plan yet, and there's nothing cut in stone. All of this is all still ideas. They're just trying to get input, so when they do get some land property, he can't give you a percentage. He can't give you a percentage because he doesn't know if he's going to own property A, B, and C, or if he's just going to own A and B. So there's no way you're going to.
But respectfully, so with what you just said, whatever you gonna do, we have as the community, we have nothing to do with that. All we want to do is be safe.
Sure.
Now, as far as A, B, and C, you supposed to be making sure that
Sure,
we are
I mean,
safe.
I walk around the community all the time. I want to be safe too, and I want my customers that walk in every day, that come from whether they're inside the city or outside the city, I want them to be safe
I wanna
walking
be
down the
safe,
streets.
But I also want to
Right.
stay here when it